try to coach through them as best as I can. So, first off, hey Crystal, I see that you're on. What's up? It's been a while. Secondly, what we're gonna get to today is if you haven't already submitted questions and would like to submit something for next week, you go to seanbutler.com/ask to submit your questions and either come on live on Instagram for some one-on-one coaching out in the world, or just submit your question with a little bit of context, and I'll talk through it as best as I can with the perspective of personal development, with the perspective of high performance. I am a certified high performance coach, so that is my bag. So that said, the questions that we're answering today are, like I said, submitted from you folks. The first one being, how can I find a new job after losing mine in March? I don't feel like I have purpose without a job. So this is something we talked about last week a little bit, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago. We talked about it a little bit in the past. And this feeling of identity with our jobs, that we are only our jobs, or that we are not enough without a job, is a very, very common thing, especially here in the United States. And part of it is, and this is going to be the theme, I think, for today with the two other questions, is, how do we control the things that we can and be okay with the things that we can't, right? We can't help that the world was thrown into a pandemic this year and that it impacted the economy and impacted so many people's health and all these different serious things. We can say that, okay, and I'm sure you know this, so I'm not trying to, just kind of covering my bases here as I'm thinking through this. But if that happened, right? And you felt stuck, you felt overwhelmed. The thing is what can we do, right? What is in our control to take action? And so many people this year in my coaching practice found themselves stuck, right? They got overwhelmed. They got out of their rhythms. They lost their vision for their future. And they just kind of hunkered down for comfort and, didn't ever leave, right? And it's okay, when stuff like this happens, to feel it, to internalize it, to try to figure your way out of it. And if you've been in that way for maybe longer than a week, 2 weeks tops, then the problem is how maybe you're looking at it or getting back into your power, right? So what I do know from jobs, what is going to get you a new job, it's going to be submitting a resume each day. And I know that as you submit resumes, as you go and you network and talk to people, there's going to be a lot of rejection, a lot of disappointment, a lot of stress going on, especially if you're in a bad financial spot. So the trick is, how do you manage those emotions so you can keep productive in that job search? That's really would be the goal for you. So how are you managing your stress? How are you tapping into your support networks? How are you being healthy? Sometimes a good long walk or run can help settle you down so you can get back to work and get back to what needs to get done. And it's not just in the job search. This applies to if you want to improve your relationship, if you want to, again, get into the best health of your life. It's all about doing what you can do. So that's what I would focus on. Obviously I can't figure out how to get you a new job. It's not my skill set. There's job hunters and stuff like that, and that's a hard game to begin with. But I can help maybe with managing those emotions that go along with the job search, and it can be brutal. And it's all about being tenacious, it's being persistent, and how do you keep tenacious and persistent, managing your emotions as best you can, without shutting them down. But maybe even using that as a fuel as you go out there. So I hope that helps. And again, if you need to help manage emotions, meditation is classic. You can pull that from a lot of early religions. It's just a good practice to quiet down your mind. It doesn't have to be religious or tied to religion. Going for walks, making sure that you're taking care of the ABCs of health, like sleep, enough water, nutrition, things of that nature can help keep you on track when you're on a job hunt or in a situation where you're getting a lot of rejection. So, okay, that's question one. I hope that helps. Anytime, too, guys, you can direct message me. Probably not I won't look at it during the show because it's just me here, but I'd love to add you to the queue for next week, or if you have further questions, answer those after the show. All right. Okay. Question number 2. I constantly tell myself that, hey, I'm too old or I'm not good enough. How can I change? How can I change the tapes in my mind? So that's a really good question. And like I think last week we also talked about mindsets, or recently, but really when it comes to mindsets, especially if you find yourself repeating it over and over and over again in your head, things that aren't helping you in your life. My biggest piece of advice for that, without kind of going into a lot of the nuance, because there's always so much context provided here, it's get a journal, write out the thought that keeps popping in your head, and then think, what would I want that to say that would help support me, right? And literally rewrite it 10 times in your journal. And this is something that I did years ago when I had a stressful job working at corporate Walmart. I was in, not sleeping well due to the job, like on call 24/7. And so after a while of doing that, I was getting kind of burnt out. And I would just wake up tense. I'd wake up not really super happy. I would wake up and just keep telling myself, man, I really hate this job. I hate this job. Go sit down at my computer to do the coding stuff. Oh, man, I really hate this. Go to lunch. Man, I hate being here. Just kind of every day reinforcing that message. Probably told myself like 1,000 million times a day that I really hated this gig. And what I found, too, is being fixated on that really got me stressed out even more. It's kind of this vicious cycle. So I had a journal with me. Anytime I'd start noticing that I was on that track, part of this is just being a little bit aware. But when I noticed I'd have that script in my head, oh, I really hate this job. I really hate this job. I switched it to, I don't love this job. And that little tweak of language, doesn't seem like a huge deal. You're still kind of saying the same thing, but it had a little bit less emotional impact. So I'm not spinning myself up in my head, getting stressed out in my head, saying, oh, I don't want to be here. It's just I just don't love this right now. And that led me to then say, if I don't love this, how can I change it, right? And that was a huge shift for me in that particular tape running in my head. So if I don't love the job, what would I love to do? And you start looking around. I was able to shift in that organization at Walmart, corporate, into a job that I was more suited to my skills, that I felt a lot more at peace with, felt like I could contribute a bit more, and I did really good work after that, having made that move. So I hope that journal exercise really helps you. It's just a quick reframe for this tape. So if your script is, oh, I'm too old, right? What's a script that can help you there? It could be, hey, I have a lot of experience, a lot to offer. Or another thing, if you're not good enough, again, it's I know what I know. I'm really good at what I'm doing. I work hard. It could be whatever it is for you. Again, without knowing you a little bit deeper, I can't accurately help you find that new script, the new thing to plug and write down 10 times every time you notice it in your head, but something like that. Okay. Third question is, how can I intentionally be more productive? Just that quick question. And when it comes to intention and productivity, right? I've learned this year very particularly, especially being about 1.5 years now running fully in my coaching business, is that if it's not on the calendar, it's not getting done. I will forget about it. I will push it off and say, oh, I'll do it later. But if I do my morning planning, so I have a little morning ritual where I try to think, what do I need to accomplish today? What do I need to accomplish today in the context of this week and this month? And then I find that if I block out time on my calendar to be like, I'm doing marketing here, I have client work here, and here, and I have follow-ups and all the other tasks that you do in a business. if it's on my calendar, it gets done. And I would recommend that part of your intention should be a morning ritual where you're getting pumped for the day, just finding out what you're excited about, what to look forward to, and putting down on your calendar, this is the things that I want to do, and this is when I'm going to do it. So I think that's really effective. The other thing about being intentionally more productive, it's finding where you're reactive during the day. So in a lot of my client meetings, we talk about how that first hour of your workday, especially if you can, not especially, but most people can make it happen unless your job is to be in your email. But the first hour of your day should be planning their day. It should be working on the number one thing you need to get done, right? Keep the main thing the main thing. And most of the time, if you can accomplish that and you say, I moved something meaningful, a project, a personal goal, whatever it is, forward today, the first hour of the day, everything else that comes after that is a bonus. You'll feel much more relaxed. I know I have, and that's been my experience. You feel more relaxed, you feel accomplished. Nothing else could happen. You'd move the football forward. Everyone's happy. But what tends to happen is you get a little bit of momentum and you're like, oh, I got this done. Let me do this. And let me do this. And if you have that plan of attack from the plan and like putting it on your calendar in the morning, it's magic. So I hope that helps you too. All right. I'll check the direct messages or comments after this. If you have any questions, I am really, really just excited to do this every Friday. So if you have a question, again, go to SeanButner.com/ask or go into the bio and check out the links page. You'll see the Ask a Coach on Instagram thing. Click on that, put in your name and information, and next week I could be answering your question in high performance, in personal development, in trying to overcome some struggles that you have. That said, go out there, live with more joy, more personal growth, and more impact in your communities. I'll talk to you guys on Monday, the same time, for the normal, just, I guess, I don't want to call it ramblings, but the start your day with your coach, a little bit of inspiration and something to think about that's positive. So, that said, take care, see you next week, and have a great weekend.